Hi everyone. So today we are going to discuss Geometry Exercise 1A Part 2 of the chapter. Now moving to the first question. Here the first question says, name these quadrilaterals. Here by observing the quadrilateral we can see opposite sides are parallel. So there are only one quadrilateral whose opposite sides are parallel, which we name it as a trapezium. So that is the property of trapezium. Trapezium means a quadrilateral which has a pair of opposite sides. Now moving to the B part. So here they have given, you can observe all the sides are parallel. So these two sides are parallel. These two sides are parallel. These two sides are parallel, and these two sides are of parallel. So by observing this we can find out this as it's a rhombus. So it's a rhombus. So the property of rhombus is opposite sides are parallel and opposite angles are of equal in size. These two angles are equal and these two angles are equal. So this is the property of a rhombus. Now moving to C. Here my picture looks different, but in actual text it's like every sides are of equal length. So if you look at the figure, each vertex we can see angle with 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree, and each sides are equal. These two sides are equal, these two sides are equal. So this we name it as a square. A square means every sides are of equal length and each angle is of 90 degree. Now moving to B. Moving to the next question, that is second question. So here we only need to draw these quadrilaterals. So first one they are asking to draw a square. So square everyone know it's of four sides which are of equal length and every angle is of 90 degree. So 90, 90, 90 degree, 90 degree. So A, B, C, D is a square with each sides are same. Means every side is parallel and all of the sides are of equal length. Now moving to B, they ask to draw a parallelogram. Parallelogram means two of the opposite sides are parallel. So here two sides are opposite sides are equal in length. So that is the specialty of a parallelogram. So I'm naming this parallelogram as C D E F. So C D E F is a parallelogram with opposite sides are parallel. So these two sides are parallel, these two sides are parallel, and opposite sides are equal in length. So these two sides are equal in length. A centimeter, A. So this we name it as a parallelogram. Now moving on to the third question. So third question says, draw a diagram to illustrate the following properties. First one is the opposite sides of a rectangle are parallel. So just draw a rectangle. So rectangle we know each angle is of 90 degree. That is A, B, C, D is a rectangle. with each interior angle is 90 degree and opposite sides are parallel. So these two sides and these two sides are parallel. This side and this side are parallel, and opposite sides are of equal length. So which means this is A, this is A, this is B, this is B. So this is the answer for that one. Now moving to B, the diagonals of a square are equal in length. So we just need to draw a diagram for the square first. If you draw with divider, by using that you can find out the diagonals. So I'm just drawing, I'm giving some different name for the square: x, y, z, e. So x, y, z, e is a square with each side of equal length, and every angle is of 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree. So x, y, z, e is a square. Now if we draw the diagonal by using the divider, you can find that xz equal to ey. So which means diagonal of one side is equal to diagonal of ey. You can prove these by using Pythagoras theorem. Pythagoras theorem. So that's the way to prove these diagonals are of equal length. So just give the side length of xy as a, zy as a, because the sides are of equal length. This is a square, that's the reason every sides are of equal length, a. Now find out the length of xz and find out the length of ey by using Pythagoras theorem. So you can prove it easily. The diagonals are of equal length. Or else use the divider and draw a perfect square and measure the length of ey and xz. You can find out the length. So by using that also you can prove that should be equal. Now moving to C, the opposite sides of a parallelogram are equal in length. So again, draw a parallelogram. So this is a parallelogram. FGHI is a parallelogram. Opposite sides are parallel. These two sides are parallel. These two sides are parallel. And we know that if we took the length of FG, that is equal to IH. Suppose if we name the length as A, this also will be length A. So both are A centimeter each. If we find the length of GH, which is equal to IF length, that is equal to, suppose I am naming this as B, which is equal to B centimeter. So both are of same length. So draw using the divider, you can find out easily. Now moving to the next one, D. We just need to prove the diagonals of a rhombus bisect the angles at each vertex. So what is a rhombus? Rhombus is a kind of parallelogram with every sides are of equal length. So it's a kind of parallelogram. It's a special parallelogram with each sides are of equal length. So which means this side is A, this side is A, this side is A, this side is A, and every sides are parallel. These two sides are opposite sides are parallel. These two sides are parallel. So this is a parallelogram. We just need to find the diagonals of a rhombus bisect the angle at each vertex. So if we draw the diagonals, so these are the two diagonals. If I name this as diagonal as CDBA. So CDB is a BA is a rhombus, and AD and BC are the two diagonals of the rhombus. So we know by the property of the rhombus, the diagonal bisect at each other at right angles. So we know here the diagonal is bisect at each other at right angles. So that is the property of a rhombus. And here these two angles are of equally it will bisect. So the diagonal also bisect equally the angles at each vertex. So that's the property of a rhombus. You can draw by using the divider. You can find out that easily. You use the protractor to find out the angles at each vertex. Now moving on to our next question. That is now we move on to our next question. So here our next question is, find the value of x given a brief reason for your answer. So they have given a lot of figures. So the first one, fourth question, A part. So here they have given a parallelogram with one side 4 centimeter, the other side 6 centimeter, and we need to find what is the value of x here. So by the property of parallelogram, we know that opposite sides are equal. So these two sides should be equal in length, and these two sides should be equal in length. So this side should be 6 centimeter and this will be 4 centimeter. So x equal to 4 centimeter here. Now the next question, B. So we need to find what is the value of x here. So by observing this figure, what's this figure? This figure is a rhombus. So rhombus means every sides are of equal length and every sides are parallel. So it's a special type of parallelogram. Here we need to find the value of x, and we know there is a property in a rhombus. The diagonals bisect each other at equal length. So from here to here the length should be same, and from here to here the length should be same. Which means x equal to 5 centimeter. It's meter here, so 5 meter. 5 meter. Now the next question, C. We need to find the value of this angle. So this is again a parallelogram. These two sides are parallel and equal length. These two sides are parallel and equal length. So in a parallelogram, the opposite angles should be equal. That is, this angle and this angle are equal, and this angle and this angle are equal. So x equal to 62 degree. So that is a property of parallelogram. The opposite angles are also equal. So D, here we need to find again the value of x. So this one is a square. So in a square, every sides are of equal length and every sides are parallel. So, and also the diagonal bisect each other at the diagonals are equal in length. So we have already proved the diagonals should be equal. So one of the diagonal here is 14 meter, and which means the other diagonal is also, that is the other diagonal is also 14 meter. So which means here our x will be half of one of the diagonal, so which is 7 meter. So that's the answer for the D part. Now coming to E. So E, here we need to find again the value of x. Again, this is a parallelogram, so opposite sides are parallel. So these two sides are parallel and these two sides are parallel. Here the value of x equal to, it will be, so one of the property is alternative angles of a parallelogram are equal. So these two angles should be equal. So these are the two alternative angles. So alternative means if you draw, it will be opposite on one or either of the side. So it will be x equal to 50 degree. So here x equal to 50 degree. Now moving on to F. Again we need to find the angle here. So this is again a parallelogram. So the property is the supplementary interior angle should be 180 each. So x plus 50 degree should be 180 degree. That is the supplementary angle are equal. So that is the property. So x equal to, if you add both of the angles in a supplementary angle, so these two are the supplementary angles. So if you add these two, it will be 180 degree each. So x plus 50 equal to 180. So this is supplementary angle are equal from that property. Supplementary co-interior angles are equal. So x equal to 180 minus 50 degree, so which means 130 degree. So here our x value is 130 degree. Now moving on to the next question, that is fifth question. Here we need to find the value of again x, find the value of unknowns, given a brief reason for each answer. So what's our first figure? Our first figure is a rectangle, you all know, that is these two sides are parallel for a rectangle and the other sides are of parallel and equal length. So if this is 5 centimeter, means y equal to also 5 centimeter. Opposite sides are of equal and they are parallel. So 8 centimeter here means the other value x is here 8 centimeter. So x equal to 8 centimeter. Now moving on to B. Here they are asking the value of A and B. We need to find what is the A value here and what is the B value here. So by using the property of parallelogram, we know these two side lengths are of equal. So which means A equal to 9 meter. A equal to 9 meter. Now we need to find the value of B. So again here for B we are using the property of supplementary co-interior angle, which should be 180 degree. So 75 plus B equal to 180 degree, which means B equal to 180 minus 75. So B equal to how much? 105 degree. So B equal to 105 degree. Again we use the same property. Supplementary co-interior angles are of 180 degree each. If you add two of the angle, you will get 180 degree. So that property we used here. Now moving on to C. C here they are asking the value of x and y. So what is this again? Again, this is a parallelogram. Opposite. What is this figure? This figure is not a parallelogram. This figure is a, what is this figure? This figure is a trapezium. That is, two sides are of parallel. Only two sides are parallel here. So we need to find the value of x. X equal to here. Again, we use the property of supplementary co-interior angles. So x is 60 plus x equal to 180 degree. Now we need to find the value of x. 180 minus 60. So x equal to 60 degree. X equal to 120 degree. X equal to 120 degree here. Now the value of y, again using the same thing. So the value of y plus x equal to y plus, here they have given 80 degree, y plus 80 equal to, y plus 80 equal to 180 degree. Now the value of y equal to, so 180 minus 80, that is 100 degree. So that is the value of y here. So we found the value of x and y. So here again we use the same property, supplementary co-interior angles are equal. Now the next one, D. So D, here we need to find the value of x and y. X is a diagonal, a part of the diagonal, and y is the angle. So this shape is a square. So by the property of square, we know the diagonals bisect each other at equal length. So if this is 4 centimeter, then the remaining part is also 4 centimeter. So x value should be 4 centimeter. X equal to 4 centimeter. That is, the diagonals are of equal length. So if you add up, you will get 8 centimeter. So we only use that property here. If you want that, you can use that property in a property here and find x plus 4 equal to 8. So x equal to 8 minus 4, which is 4. So this only we used. Now we need to find the value of y. So y is, we know that each angles are of 90 degree each, and the diagonal bisect each angle at the vertex. So here the total angle is 90 degree. 90 degree plus y equal to, here we need to find the value of y. So we know that the total angle is 90 degree and the diagonal bisect the vertex angle by half. That is, it will, the diagonals of a square bisect the angles at each vertex equally, which means 90 divided by 2, so 45 degree. So this is the reason here y equal to 45 degree. That is, the diagonal will bisect the angle equally. So that's a property of a square. Now moving on to E. E, they have given a rhombus here. They have given a rhombus here. And we need to find the value of x here. X and y here. Both are angles. So E that is here the value of x will be 35 degree, because we know that in a rhombus the diagonal bisect the angle equally. So this one, so equally they will bisect, so these should be equal, that is, if we add up these two you should get 70 degree. So that is the half of that will be x, so which means x equal to 35 degree. And here the value of y we need to find. Again we use the property of supplementary angle here for finding the value of y. So how we will find that? So y plus y plus 70 equal to 180 degree. Now the value of y is 180 minus 70, so which will be 110. So this is the value of y here. Moving on to f. They have given, first figure out what is the figure they have given. From the figure you can find out the properties. From the properties you can find out whatever answer you want to get. So that will be the easier way. So this is again a rhombus. So this is again a rhombus because every sides are of equal length and every sides are parallel. A special kind of parallelogram we call it as a rhombus. So here we need to find the value of x and y degree. So we know in a rhombus the diagonal bisect the angle at each vertex equally, and here diagonals of a rhombus bisect each other at right angles. So here they will form 90 degree each. So that's the again other special property of a rhombus. So 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree. So our x value will be 90 degree here. So our x value will be 90. So x equal to 90 degree because the diagonals of a rhombus bisect each other at right angles. Now the y value. So we need to find the value of y here. Now again we know supplementary co-interior angles and diagonals of a rhombus bisect the angle at each other at each vertex. So how do we find the value of y here? So y will be 68 plus. So here we know that we are using two properties here. So this is y degree means this is also y degree. So both will be y because the diagonal bisect angles at each vertex equally, and that will be divided into two parts. So 68 plus 2y equal to 180 degree. So 2y will be 68, 180 minus 68. So that will be 112. So y value will be 56 degree. So that is from the property of a, we use two properties here, supplementary co-interior angles and diagonals of a rhombus bisect each angle at each vertex. Now moving on to the next one. This is the last question in the exercise 1A part 2. here we need to find, they have given a school office has two desks, each with the dimension shown, that is 72 degree. So what is this figure is for? This figure is a trapezium with two sides are parallel. Now we need to find what is the shape of each desk. So they have given a school office desk from which they are making other, they are putting two desks together and forming a shape in option A. Again they are taking this desk and forming the other shape, that is the other form of arrangement of desk in option B. So we need to find what are the shapes in option A and option 2. So first option, this one is two sides are parallel, these two sides are parallel, so which means this is a parallelogram, and here this one is a, option B is for this is a hexagon. In the last video we discussed about hexagon, so which has 6 sides. So this we called as a hexagon, 6 side and 6 vertex. So this we called as a hexagon. And coming to the next one, so next part of the question, that is B. So B, here we need to find, describe the shape formed by putting the desk each other. So we found out this question answer, and we need to find the size of each angle in the resulting shape. So we need to find out the angle. So from this parallelogram we can find, here the angle is 72 degree, here the angle is 72 degree, so this angle should be 108 by using the property of supplementary angle. So this also will be 108. So here this will be 72, here this will be 72, here this will be 108, here this will be 108 degree. Again here this will be 72, 108 degree, and this also will be 108 degree. So same thing here, just compare with this, the above parallelogram, you will get the angles easily. 72, here this will be here this will be 72, this will be 72. And what about this one? 108, and this will be 108, this will be 108. So that's the answer for the last question. So that's all about the exercise part 1A2 of the geometry part. So thank you all. If you like, subscribe, comment, and whatever doubts we can discuss in our comments. Thank you all.